And
You're going to be the death of me one of these days.
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another
Hi.
exciting episode of Lost Podcast of Titan, a father and son journey through the sci-fi series that unite our generations where the son tries to kill his father through comedy before the synchronization clap, which you will never know about except through hearing a reference, and you'll wonder what was so fucking funny. Ladies and gentlemen, it was
Probably the
hilarious.
funniest thing of the whole episode, but um,
Don't you hate it when that happens? When you have that really good thought or that really funny quip and it's off camera, well, off recording basically.
yeah.
But my
Usually
name is
thought,
Jeremiah,
and my name is Michael.
and this is start. This is wait, where are we doing? Lost Podcast of Titan.
Oh, Lord. We need to wake up before we start doing these things.
I've had coffee. It's just like sometimes I just get lost in the conversation with you. So, oh,
Yeah, I was going to say, recently I've been watching Gene Roddenberry's masterpiece.
the fuck is Gene Roddenberry's masterpiece?
Well, it was a TV series he did before he started Star Trek called The Lieutenant. It ran during the 1963-64 television season on NBC, 29 episodes, dealing with a Marine lieutenant in charge of a Marine rifle battalion.
Mm-hmm.
Starring Gary Lockwood, our old friend from 2001: A Space Odyssey, and his commanding officer was Robert Vaughn. So for casting, there was really nothing. There was really no problem with that. I watched a few episodes and I went, okay, whatever. But the guy who uploads the episodes on YouTube, is claiming up and down that this is Roddenberry's masterpiece.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, I'm wondering what he ripped it off from. What did he steal? Or what did he appropriate? There we go.
I wonder if there's such a thing as prosecuting attorneys in the entertainment business.
There should be, isn't there?
Because you'd be good at it.
Oh, well,
Mr. Roddenberry, all right, let's get down to brass tacks. Where'd you rip this up?
I mean, like, it wouldn't be that hard. And I would already know the answer to the question before I asked it because I would be a fantastic prosecutor. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is our Star Trek The Animated Series review. We are still barreling through it. This is the episode More Tribbles, More Troubles. And it's, as the title clearly suggests, this is the return of the Tribbles. Let's just start off right off the bat. What did you think of the episode?
It's okay. This provides a great argument for wishing that these weren't half-hour episodes because some stories you really need an hour to flesh out.
I liked it. However, I would like to point out a matter of personal privilege is that when I was a very young man, the only access I had to the animated series was on the video cassette that we actually had managed to record off of whatever channel, wherever, whatever, doesn't matter. And there was only like 4 or 5 episodes on that tape. The problem I have is that the episode cuts off. Like, so just to give you a brief synopsis of the beginning of the episode is that the Enterprise is escorting grain ships and they're talking about a brand new Klingon weapon and oh no, the Klingons are approaching and they're about to open fire, and then we have static. That's where it cuts off. That's a cliffhanger that's torturous for a child.
I'm sorry.
It's
It's all
it's
mine.
it's okay. Like eventually, like I mean, we had other movies and stuff that I could watch. It was just,
And,
what the
and
hell?
I should
Like,
quickly point. I should quickly point out that no, this was not bootleg. I would never buy a bootleg recording. This was home recording back in the days when beta tapes were a thing.
a VHS.
Yeah.
Oh, for one thing, I think the statute of limitations is passed. Like
These days,
I'm fairly certain I could announce that I was, the high pirate of the stolen MP3 music scene back in the early 2000s, and I'd be past the statute of limitations. Not that that was true. I would never have like more than 10,000 songs that somehow managed to make their way onto my hard drive, along with countless viruses that were unavoidable in the days of Napster, when you never knew what you would be getting. But yeah, so that was like I said, it would cut off right when the Klingons approach and they open fire, and this is really brilliant, like white-looking weapon, just and then it cuts off, and I'm like, oh damn! I wonder how Kirk got out of that one.
Well, now that you've seen the episode, what did you think of the Klingon weapon?
It's a bit overpowered. Like, holy shit!
In a way, it kind of brought to mind the infamous purple ray from the TIE Fighter computer game.
Oh no, wait, it wasn't purple. It was blue. Remember, it turned the ship blue.
Okay.
Yes, for those unaware, there's a TIE Fighter computer game, and one of the mission arcs, or not mission, but like a whole series of missions, was developing a super weapon, and eventually you get to attach it to this special TIE Fighter, and then you're like, oh yes, this is going to be awesome. And the only really effect it ever did was it turned the enemy ship blue. And that's really all we can see that it did.
And I'm going, I went through all this trouble for this?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, give me something that would give me a faster missile lock.
Oh, Lord. But anyway, so the plot of the story is, let's see. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's what I wanted to say. For one thing, there's another fucking colony on the brink of starvation.
It's on the same planet.
Wait, it's the same planet?
Sherman's planet, yeah. They were going, something had happened to Sherman's planet.
Again?
And I'm glad you brought this subject up, because I was thinking, all right, by now it should be obvious that Sherman's planet is a write-off.
Like, fuck Sherman. Get the fuck out of there. I completely forgot the name of the planet. And, but, oh my God, like, it doesn't seem to me that there is, don't they have, no, they don't have replicators back then. But it just seems like the Federation has a lot of issues. They're not so hoity-toity, everything's perfect in the Federation, if all these planets are on the brink of starvation and plague.
And also, obviously some time had passed between this episode and the original Trouble with Tribbles.
Yes.
Did Sherman Planet not develop agricultural facilities and stuff to grow and build up a backlog of food?
Yeah, preserve your fucking food, you assholes. But so the Klingons are they chased? Wait, hold on. It's been a few days. There was a transporter ship being attacked by the Klingons, and in the middle of the attack, the Enterprise grabs the captain or the pilot, brings him on board, and it's dun dun dun, Cyrano Jones with a whole fucking crap ton of Tribbles.
And he's got Tribbles with him. I almost expected Mr. Scott to clutch at his heart and collapse on the floor of the transporter room.
Yeah. And so I think they've been they were neutered, so these Tribbles shouldn't replicate. But that doesn't matter because there's a Tribble predator that has been genetically engineered to eat the Tribbles. So now he's, going to be selling the Tribbles, and I guess selling the predator to make sure that nothing goes out of hand. But I never quite grasped that, because if they're neutered, why do you need the predator?
He's covering his tracks.
Yeah.
And also, and you're going to yell at me because I'm also going to mention Harry Mudd. Neither Cyrano Jones nor Harry Mudd, their problem was they never really thought their plots all the way through.
Well, they don't need to. They think just far enough to get money.
I mean, if Cyrano Jones actually had neutered Tribbles, and I'm thinking, how do you neuter a Tribble?
No. Here's a question I would ask of you. Would you rather be like a yeoman on the midship decks of a starship, or Harry Mudd.
Uh, Would I have to be specifically Harry Mudd, or are you saying
Or like a
I
Harry
could?
Muddish type character, where you only think so far as profit.
Okay, if I'm having to be limited to that sort of thinking, I'd rather be the ensign on a Federation starship.
Really?
I wouldn't have as much of a criminal record following me from planet to planet.
But I think I would get laid a lot more as, Harry Muddish type character.
Well, if that's your ultimate goal, I mean, it seems to me that Mudd was willing just to, as soon as he got his hands on women, he was just going to sell them. So,
Well, I mean, he's a man of refined taste. But anyway,
I don't want to hear how refined those tastes are, but
well, he's been married.
yeah, we all saw how that turned out.
But anyway, so the Klingons are actually chasing Cyrano Jones, and they're using this brand new weapon, which basically puts the ships in stasis, as in they can't move and they can't fire, and it's really, really kind of overpowered. But it does basically drain the Klingon ship of power, so that they use it, and then they can't just simply blast you to smithereens. So let's see. So they
Well,
smack out.
they would have allowed Jones to run off with the Tribbles. It was the theft of the Tribble Predator that had him cheesed off.
Well, yeah, but I mean they can't just simply say that. That would ruin the whole episode.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, Cyrano Jones couldn't think of anyone else besides the Klingons to steal from.
It was just convenient. He had his way with our women, and now he's going to run off with a predator. So But
Because
anyway,
he needed the Predator to speed up the cleaning up of the Tribbles off of Space Station K7.
I thought the Klingons developed the predator.
The Klingons developed the Predator, but then when Cyrano Jones first arrives on the Enterprise, remember Kirk asked him, "Weren't you supposed to be cleaning up the Tribbles off Space Station K7?"
Yeah, he outsourced it.
And he out, but they let him off the station long enough to get the Klingon Predator and bring it back to K7.
I don't think he did that.
Well, how did he get the Glommer?
He stole it from the Klingons. He's a traitor.
So the Klingons arrived on K7.
No, he went to the Klingons.
Yeah, but that would have meant having him leave the station when he was not supposed to.
All right, you're misunderstanding. I don't think the Glommer had anything to do with cleaning the Tribbles off of K7.
No, I think he said that he needed the Glommer to speed up the process of cleaning up K7.
Oh, well. Huh. This is probably part of the issues with having a half-hour episode. Everything goes by so quickly.
Yeah. You blink, you miss it.
But regardless, the Klingons aren't having any of this shit. And they basically immobilize the Enterprise, but they leave the two robot grain vessels that they were escorting alone. And so Kirk uses those two ships to threaten to crash into the Klingon ship. They basically overextend themselves by zapping them, and then they have to run off to basically recharge, which doesn't make any sense. Why isn't Kirk calling for help?
Now that's a good point.
Yeah.
This business of the Enterprise being the only ship in the area, it's kind of old after all.
Yeah. So.
And I just finished watching a sort of a documentary on Federation space stations similar to K7, K series, and they weren't, heavily armored war fortresses, but they did possess firepower of their own.
Yeah.
Or were they close enough to K7 for it to make a difference? But they probably weren't.
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
But so the Klingons wander off, and as they wander off, that's when they discuss Cyrano Jones and elaborate more on the Tribbles being neutered. They have the Predator. Klingons come back. They attack one of the transport ships, so now they have to move some of the grain onto the Enterprise. And of course, over the course of the episode and the attacks, grain spills, Tribbles eat, and this time instead of replicating, they basically just join together as a colony and become giant Tribbles.
They grow larger, and they're become Tribble colonies. There are dozens, hundreds of smaller Tribbles inside them.
Yes.
Essentially, this is a rewrite of the original episode.
Pretty much, like down to the wah 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 last scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I was looking on some back information on this episode, and David Gerald, the author, initially did not like the way the episode came out, and I was gonna say, well, you wrote it. I mean, you can only shift the blame just so far.
Yes, you can. No, Harlan Ellison has taught me you can blame the director for everything, and you will be right. The director and the bastards in the glass towers, who wouldn't know good writing if it slapped them across the face.
And also, there was kind of I don't know if you knew this, but David Gerald himself had a cameo appearance in the episode. He was a transporter chief, had no speaking lines, but apparently we, the audience, were supposed to see him and so go, oh, David Gerald! And I'm sorry. I like to think of myself as, a fairly fanish person. But you could show me a picture of 10 or 15 science fiction authors, male or female, and ask me to identify them. And other than a few, Isaac
female
Asimov...
science fiction authors? There's no such thing.
Yes, there is.
No, there isn't.
Yes, there is.
Name 3.
D.C. Fontana, Lee Brackett, and Ursula K. Le Guin.
Okay, D.C. Fontana is not a girl, and Lee is not a girl's name, so therefore,
all right.
I'm right.
No, Leigh, Lee Brackett.
Yeah, that's a guy's name, yeah. You're mistaken, sir.
No. There's no way, that you can look at Lee Brackett and say, that's a male. You'd get strange looks from, and people coming up and waving their hands in front of your eyes. Well, then also we have C.J. Cherry, Lois McMaster Bujold.
Let us know who your favorite science fiction author is at lostpodcastoftitan@gmail.com.
And whether or not you could recognize them if you were suddenly shown a picture of them.
An animated picture.
Thank you. An animated picture. Animated by the people at Filmation Studios, no less.
Yep.
Oh.
Where was it? Oh, yeah, so the ship's, Enterprise is attacked. Transport ships are attacked. Grain is on the ship. The Tribbles start eating, become larger. Things get crazy. Over the course of all this nonsense, the Klingons finally let slip that they're really not even interested in Cyrano Jones. They want the Glommer back. And they have the Enterprise dead to rights pretty much. But so Kirk says, you know what? Since Cyrano Jones fucking stole the Glommer, yeah, fine, you can have the Glommer back. And transports the Glommer back as well as beams all the giant Tribbles onto the Klingon ship. And that is basically the resolution of the episode, where the Klingons are, haha, we have the Glommer, and then they open up engineering bay, and like a giant Tribble starts consuming all the Klingons in bloody glory. It's great.
The great Klingon Tribble War.
They really need to do an episode about that.
But I kept thinking, Klingon biochemical research is really piss poor. If they didn't have additional Glommer cells that they could clone or replicate a Glommer from.
Yeah, they said this was the first successful one. Well, what was the batch that made that? Like you should have those records.
What were the rejects?
Oh, the Glommer rejects. That would be another good episode.
they had an effective glommer, but instead it was eating Klingon women or something like that.
So here are my issues that I had while watching the episode.
Uh-oh.
Scotty had a mustache. Did you notice this?
I'll have to go back and look. I don't
Okay,
remember.
now when you're looking directly at him, he doesn't have a mustache, but there is a scene for like a second when he's doing the whole where he's lifting the buttons on the transporter. It's like he's pushing the buttons up the console thing. The From that angle, he has a mustache. It's like really disconcerting. I was like, what the fuck is this? I should have taken a picture, to be honest.
Well, I'm can push up my screen caps page. See, now you're gonna have to make me watch the whole episode over again.
I'll tell you what. When we're done with the episode, I will pull it up for you because it's not that far into the episode.
Okay. Well, on a related note,
yeah, go ahead.
The grain ships which the Enterprise was hauling,
Yeah.
those became canonical.
Well, I would think so.
Well, considering how Gene Roddenberry swore up and down that the only canonical episode of the animated series was yesterday, I felt it interesting that they had enough interest in the design of the grain ships to adapt them for when they remastered the original series. They would give us, new ships, and that was one of them.
Mm-hmm. But you're forgetting Gene Roddenberry's a hack and a fraud.
Well, if I had forgotten, then I knew that you would remind me of it.
But let's see. Also, another animation error I noticed, because for some reason it was really obvious in this episode, but there was a line where they didn't use there was an attack with the Klingons, and Kirk says something along the lines of they didn't use the weapon again. Yet 10 seconds earlier during the fight, it was very clear they used the weapon. And I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? They were just recycling the footage and didn't even bother to make sure it was footage that wouldn't contradict what Kirk said, like not 10 seconds later.
Okay, and you just reminded me of another animation problem that I had with the episode.
Okay.
And that was too much time was spent on footage of photon torpedoes flying through space.
Oh yeah, I did notice that. Yes, it was like it kind of just kept going, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
We could have put in more dialogue here or something.
It's about to hit, Captain. Boom. And also, like, Kirk is a complete idiot in this, more so than usual. He lets the Klingons go. Like they get free of the stasis field for the first time as the Klingon ship limps away to go recharge. So they're helpless, and he doesn't open fire.
Well, he'd rather have the Klingons realize that once again they've had a whole shitload of tribbles dumped on them.
No, this is the beginning of the episode. When they first do the whole, take the robot ships and try and crash them. And then the Klingons basically try and stasis all three of them at once, and are just unable to do it. And they basically burn out their systems and they have to go recharge. The Enterprise is free. And I'm like, open fucking fire. What the fuck are you doing?
Well, I think in this case, I'm going to say the Enterprise's primary concern was the grain shipment and starting a interstellar incident with the Klingon Empire.
They fired first. There's no interstellar incident. There's only an interstellar incident if there are survivors. This is the SS. This is the captain of the SS, cynical bastard here. Bastard. Okay.
Yes. People say, amazing how we never have courts of inquiry concerning the activities of the SS, cynical bastard. And someone says, well, we've been having trouble finding witnesses.
Oh. Also, it's really weird looking at the Klingons here and just everywhere else. It's just they're more Romulan-like. They're less growly warriors and more sneaky Romulans.
Well, They had that in the original series.
Yeah, but I mean, but what I'm saying is that the whole Klingon honor code and warrior mentality was much better and more firmly established in the Next Generation and the movies and all that such. So that this just seems weird. You know what I mean?
Yes, well, we really didn't get a lot of Klingon. Maybe in the episode, the third season episode, The Day of the Dove, you started getting uh, uh, looks into the Klingon warrior code.
Yeah.
But you really didn't get a lot of that in the original series. And the episode More Tribbles, More Trouble, and all the other animated series episodes were a follow-up to the original live-action series.
Yeah. But it's just that I feel this is why they went the direction they did, is because I found it difficult to distinguish what was, the differences between Klingons and Romulans, other than one looked like a Cuban, and the other one looked like, a Vulcan. But so that was More Troubles, More Tribbles. I give it a good solid B. Like, I had some animation issues, but again, this is Funimation, so it's not exactly like I can expect quality. That's like
well, this is all the quality you're going to get.
Pretty much, yeah.
I give it a B plus.
It's like, how much quality can you afford?
Exactly. You haven't brought up. It's pretty prevalent in this episode, but I noticed you haven't brought up the fact that on the bridge scene, there's an additional door to the left of the view screen.
No, I didn't notice.
Okay, well, I think it was. It had been noticeable before, but I think it was even more noticeable now. But yeah, they had listened to the complaints that a lot of people had concerning the fact that there was only that one door leading in or out of the bridge, and that was a recipe for trouble. So they added
because it was a fire hazard.
Yeah, everyone trying to crowd into the turbo lift if fire broke out or if there was a hull breach.
There's a laser system, there's a laser gun system on the disco ball on the top of the bridge, and the fact that there's one door is the issue. Get the fuck out of here.
But they added more doors, and that bled over to the Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Well, Next Generation had 2 turbo lifts, the ready room, the captain's quarters, and a bathroom, I think.
No, 3 turbo lifts, a door to the captain's quarters, and a dedicated turbo lift which led down to the battle bridge, which, after it was established, was seldom used again.
Yeah, I remember that. That's a whole other set that they had to build and shit. Oh, Lord. But anyway, so that was that for More Troubles. Hope y'all enjoyed that, and join us again next time when we watch, or when we discuss, The Survivor.
Survivor.
Yep.
We'll survive the Survivor.
I don't know.
Okay,
Take care,
y'all
everybody.
behave.
Bye-bye.